I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I've been no contact with my mother 52F and my younger sister, Amy 24F, for the past 3 years. This decision wasn't something I made lightly. I'd been trying to ignore the favoritism my whole life, convincing myself that maybe I was overreacting or reading too much into things. But eventually I couldn't deny it any longer. Here's how it all went down. Growing up, it was clear who the favorite child was. My mother never even tried to hide it. Amy was always the golden girl. She got everything she wanted: new clothes, expensive gadgets, and all the attention in the world. Meanwhile, I was the afterthought, the one who had to make do with hand-me-downs or go without. There were countless times when I'd ask for something simple, like new shoes for school, only to be told we couldn't afford it. The very next week, my mom would take Amy shopping for the latest iPhone or a designer handbag. It wasn't just about material things, though. It was the little moments, too. When I got good grades, it was barely acknowledged. But if Amy even slightly excelled at something, there'd be a whole celebration. The real breaking point, though, was the college fund. Ever since I was a kid, my mother had promised me there was a fund set aside for my education. She'd talk about it often, reassuring me that I wouldn't have to worry about student loans like she did. It was the one thing that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I mattered too. So you can imagine my shock when it was time to go to college and I found out the fund was empty, not a single cent left. I confronted my mother about it, thinking there had to be some mistake. But no, she admitted without a shred of guilt that she'd used the money for Amy's wedding. An extravagant wedding, by the way, with a designer dress, a fancy venue, and a honeymoon in Europe. When I asked why, she shrugged and said Amy needed it more. That was her reasoning. My future, my education, didn't matter because Amy needed a big, flashy wedding. I was devastated. I ended up taking out student loans and working 2 jobs just to get through college. It wasn't easy, but I managed. Meanwhile, Amy was off living her best life, oblivious to the fact that she'd taken something so important from me. I tried talking to my mother about it a few times after that, but every conversation ended the same way, with her brushing me off and acting like I was being unreasonable or selfish. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I cut contact with both of them. It felt like the only way I could protect myself. But going no contact didn't come without its own challenges. The extended family got involved, of course. My aunts and uncles started bombarding me with messages, accusing me of being ungrateful. They'd say things like, "Your mom did the best she could as a single parent, and you should be more understanding. She's only human." They couldn't see, or didn't want to see, the years of blatant favoritism and emotional neglect. To them, I was the bad daughter who abandoned her family for no reason. I started therapy around that time, and it was a lifesaver. For the first time, I had someone validating my experiences, helping me process the pain and the trauma. It wasn't an easy journey, but after a few years, I felt like I was finally starting to heal. I was moving on with my life, focusing on myself, and building something new away from the toxicity. Then, out of nowhere, my mother reached out. It had been 3 years of silence, and suddenly she wanted to talk. I remember staring at the message, my heart pounding. It was long and filled with overly sweet words about how much she missed me and how she wanted to make things right. It felt off, almost rehearsed. I couldn't help but feel suspicious. The timing seemed too convenient, especially since I'd recently heard from a cousin that Amy's marriage was falling apart and she was having serious financial troubles. It didn't take a genius to figure out that my mother might have ulterior motives. The more I thought about it, the more things started to add up. Amy was in trouble, and my mother was reaching out just when they might need a financial lifeline. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I did some digging, talking to a